The great thing about our system is anyone can run, right? And the people get to decide who's qualified and who isn't. So I've been spending the last few months going all around the district, talking to people from as far north as Steuben and LaGrange counties, all the way down to Winchester and Randolph County, telling them who I am, what I'm about, and why I'm running. You know, I think of this as one long extended job interview, and you have to go out there and talk to the people. And one of the things that I'm hearing a lot from voters is our current representative, who hasn't done a town hall since 2019, only comes around about a month, 2 months before an election. And people understand what that's about. They know why he's here, and they are not happy with the fact that they don't see him other than right before an election. And so for me, it's so important to be going around listening to people, hearing what's on their minds, and they tell you the issues that they care about, right? And it's really frustrating for them to not have a representative who they think represents them. What I hear from voters is they're tired of being embarrassed by their congressman, right? They want someone who is not just going on Fox News, but actually coming here and talking to the people of this district, listening to them, really representing them. You know, somebody who doesn't seem to have his eye on other offices, who cares more about the people here than all the other places that he's been traveling around, campaigning for other candidates. You know, the people here don't ask for much, right? They just want someone who cares about them. And so for me, the biggest issue is having somebody who cares about the people here and actually wants to be the representative instead of using this as a platform, to further their own political career. When you're running as an independent, you have the benefit of not having to worry about what Nancy Pelosi or Mitch McConnell want you to do, right? All you have to do is represent the people of your district. Even if Jim Banks wanted to vote a certain way, if the Republican Party tells him that he can't do that, he can't, right? Even if it's going to benefit the people of this region. And so many people are sick of Republican versus Democrat, red versus blue, this back and forth that's gotten us into such a contentious era. You know, there's so much chaos going on right now, and at the root of it is, what team you're on. Well, the truth is we're all on the same team, right? We're Americans, and here we're all Hoosiers. And so for me, why I can represent people in a better way than either the Republican or Democrat is because I don't have to worry about the party bosses telling me what to do. I can just do what's best for the people that I represent. Look, one of the biggest issues is how dirty our politics have gotten, how it's kind of turned into this blood sport game. And, Jim Banks is leaning into that, right? The chaos that we're experiencing is in large part driven by politicians like him who are just out trying to score points. I've talked to so many Republicans who say, I'm still a Republican, but I just can't get behind somebody who acts like that. This district has a really long and I would say proud history of representatives, regardless of party, who have been in Washington and representing us with integrity. Going all the way back to Ed Roush, who was a Democrat, and then you had Dan Quayle, who was a Republican, right? Dan Coates after that. Jill Long, a Democrat, and then Mark Souder. These are people who, regardless of whether you agreed with them on all the issues, you were proud that they were representing us and doing it with integrity, right? You knew where they stood, and you didn't have to worry about them trending on Twitter or even being kicked off Twitter, right? That happened to Jim Banks earlier. And so for me, that's one of the huge issues in this race is having somebody who truly represents what it means to be a Hoosier. Another issue that is personal to a lot of people is the current state of our healthcare system, right? In America, you almost have to be a multimillionaire not to be one medical emergency away from bankruptcy, right? Even if you have health coverage, and most of us don't have great health coverage. Because we've chosen to couple healthcare coverage with employment in this country, it's almost as if healthcare is like a reward for having a job, and the better job you have, the better healthcare you get. It doesn't make any sense. But here's something else that a lot of people don't think about. Because we've set it up this way, there are a lot of people who have ideas for businesses, right? They might want to bring a new product to the market, but they don't have the freedom to become entrepreneurs because they can't afford to lose their employer-provided health coverage. I talked to literally 2 people in the last week who both told me, I stayed at a job for years that I hated. One of them said, I'm still at this job because I cannot afford to lose my health coverage. Now, not only does that stifle American innovation, but it also rewards bad employers, right, who are treating their employees poorly But because they have this carrot, right, because they can sort of hold this over their heads, they are almost being subsidized by our system to treating their workers poorly. And regardless of where you're on the political spectrum, nobody thinks that's okay. The 2020 election was as free and fair as the 2016 election, and Joe Biden is the duly elected and clear winner of the 2020 presidential election. And it saddens me that not every candidate in this race will acknowledge that fact. Well, that's not that hard, right? I think Gary Snyder has always cared about the people of this region. He's always been interested in politics, and I certainly think that his heart is in the right place. As far as Jim Banks, I've talked to a lot of people who knew him growing up. A lot of my support's coming from Columbia City, where he's from, and they say, look, Jim comes from a very good family background. He was very invested in this region here, and I really think in terms of where he's coming from, it's hard to know right now. But just look, he has got a beautiful family, and I think that he is someone who obviously cares for them, and I'm sure that he's doing what he thinks is best for them and for the country.